Immigration lawyer John Khosravi coming to you live from Los Angeles, California, our headquarters. We help people from all across the country work federal law about U.S. immigration. Our firm handles and helps people go through the U.S. immigration process. Both people have passion-based immigration, which could be, you're a top expert in your field, athlete or artist or something like that. A business person, a scientist who have passion to work, or people who are doing it for love, for coming with their loved ones, their family members, their spouse and fiancés. We help people through that process, and we're here to answer your general immigration questions live about these stuff. And you just all you gotta do is ask your question on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're all about everywhere there is right now. So just ask your questions once. We'll get into it so it doesn't fill up the feed. All the information here is intended for general education only, not intended for individual legal guidance. Until we sit down and learn about your case and talk about it. I can't give individual guidance, but we give some general stuff that can really help you. Let's jump on our first question. Batman contacts us, says, "Hi, John. Is it possible that USCIS sends the case to the National Visa Center without actually approving the I-24? I mean, I-24 is still showing case received." Yeah, it's a very peculiar situation with regards to Form I-24 is sometimes it's still pending and we don't get any communication from USCIS that it was approved. The online stuff is all the same, no approval notices. But we'll get a communication from the National Visa Center saying USCIS sent your case to us. And it might be a year later we get approval notice. So it is a very peculiar process how the I-24 is processed for those who have to deal with this unfortunate form. But the weird situation you're describing, Bahman, is true. Sometimes it just gets approved, but they don't tell us, in essence, it seems. So that's a difficulty that we deal with U.S. immigration. We have a question. Can you say something about the I-752 delay? I think you mean I-751 delay. Malik from Instagram asked that. They're just backed up, so it gets delayed. I'm not sure what else there's to say about that. All right, let's jump aboard on some questions on TikTok. Chitin asks, how long does USCIS take to respond to an RFE? That's up to them. There's no fixed times. Katie says, good night to you too. MBC Este Africa. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Nani. But please ask full questions here so we could better provide responses. Katie says, June coming, I'll be married for 2 years. How long do you think for my interview? I have no idea. It's not up to me. Sadi says, I have a question. Go ahead. Mariam says, what would you suggest for anyone who came in on humanitarian visa? Every person's situation is different, so I don't have any suggestions I could give broadly. Just find a way to stay here. Brinta says, Happy New Year. Same to you. Vika says, hi to you. AI says, or Al says, good. Hello, sir. I got an approval from the NBC. I'm waiting for consulate in Dubai to give me an appointment. Can we do something to make the appointment quicker? Not openly. I mean, there's always maybe something. If you know somebody there, for example, I could help it out. But generally speaking, you just have to wait. You can file a lawsuit. That may work, but it may not be worth the thing. But in general, there's a lot of delays, probably over a year of waiting for Abu Dhabi. RV asks, is it safe to travel to Hawaii if a person is here on H-1B and lost job or applied for asylum? I mean, if you're traveling domestically and you don't, stop outside the United States, then it's most likely it's safe. But I just can't give guarantees. But domestic, shouldn't be a problem. But it is what it is. Search says, do you recommend an N400 with the I-751 pending, still happily married? I don't have a recommendation here because I don't know your individual case. But 9 out of 10 times, if you have an I-751 pending and you've been married and living with a U.S. citizen for about 3 years, we do file the N400 for citizenship for those with I-751s pending who've been married to a U.S. citizen, not a green card holder. But whether you in your particular case is appropriate or not, I can't answer that because I don't know your background and see if it's appropriate. But probably that would be the case. Naveed asks, what is the average processing time for approval at I-24 Vermont Service Center? I don't have average processing times. It's going to take over sometimes 3 to 6 months, sometimes 12 to 18 months, sometimes longer. How long does it take for AP renewal? Different every case. So we're starting to get the typical questions about timelines on things. And I just have to say, I can't answer these questions. First of all, there is no answer. It depends on whenever they get around to it. And for me to give a general estimate of what's going on requires me to ask so many backup questions and details that it's going to really slow down and short, because whatever I say is going to be 50-50. So it's not worth the time to even do the exercise. Then you got to wait. Vika says, please, sir, help me. My lover applied for K1 visa for me, but in the end, Delhi MC stopped me to get married with him. I need help. Vika, schedule consultation in the office. Email us at info@jklaw.com. Talk to one of our associates, and then we can get to it there. I'm not sure what happened to your case, so I can't really give guidance. Oma says, my mom has an order of deportation. I'm a U.S. citizen. Can I help her? Depends on why she has an order of deportation, what happened in history. You got to talk with an attorney in private. A lot of it has to do with your mom entered the U.S. lawfully with the visa or not. So you got to talk with an attorney to review the case. Valeria's email is info@jqqlaw.com. Valeria asks, can you get hired as a paralegal without any previous experience? Yeah, it's just up to the attorney at your work that wants to hire you. Kabula says, I got my green card through VAWA application this year. Can I apply a petition for my wife? She's got F1 status. Thank you. It's not impossible, but you may have issues applying for your spouse if you got your green card through marriage yourself. So it's probably okay, but you need to do a lot of analysis of your case and have a lot of evidence together to properly deal with that. And schedule a consult with the office. info@jqqlaw.com. info@jqqlaw.com. Mani says, hello, how are you? My VAWA case says your I-360 is approved. Have been certified, sent to pro appellate. When will they send the final decision? I don't know. It's up to them. Saba says, hi, John. Is there any way to push the case from USCIS to the NBC? I'm a green card holder. I applied for my husband. It's around 8 months. It hasn't approved yet. You don't really, in your case, it doesn't matter for USCIS to push the case forward because the F2A category spouse of a green card holder petition or place in line is so backed up like 3 or 4 years that even if they moved your case to the National Visa Center, they wouldn't be able to move forward. So typically, on average, when you're a green card holder filing an I-130 petition, it takes like 2 years for it to be approved. Again, you could try to expedite it, but right now it won't make any difference because there's still even more delay baked into that cake. Tev says, hi, my husband did his interview in Sweden. They took his passports in 2 months. You heard anything? Contact the office, email them, call them, see what's going on. Inspector Sepp says, hi, I realized I typed the wrong address in the DV application. It should be Brunswick 2, but I typed Brunswick. In the event that I get through the first selection, is it worth continuing? There are certain things in the green card lottery where if you get wrong, they're going to deny your case, including name spelling, date of birth spellings, all that kind of stuff, children's names. I can't remember if addresses was one of the ones automatically does it. So it's something I have to research. I can't, you got to hire us to spend time to do the research, but check the Department of State website to see how specific they are with that. I don't remember if having a type on an address like Brunswick 2 versus Brunswick would be a problem. Something you have to research, figure out. But typically the names, date of birth, that stuff's problematic for sure. Anthony says, how long can someone stay in queue for oath ceremony? It's been over a month. There's no deadline. AI says, so if I contact you on a private, can we do something for a point Abu Dhabi? No, I don't have any access to do anything particular for Abu Dhabi. David Gonzalez says, after you get your social security number and work permit on petition alien relative through marriage with the citizen, what should you expect to do? You got to wait for them to prove the case or ask for more evidence. William says, hi, my friend is 25 and his dad wants to file for a green card. How long will it take? If you're saying your dad's a citizen and filing for an adult child that's single, it's going to take 9+ years probably, but it depends. Are they married, single? Is the dad a green card holder or not, or a citizen? And then the background of the person too. There's a lot of different factors we got to take into consideration. Tev, we answered that. Tev says, I emailed the NBC. They keep referring me to check the visa status. You're not supposed to email the NBC. If your husband did the interview, then you got to contact the embassy where the interview happened, which is the one in Sweden. Garcia says, as a green card holder, I'd like to submit a petition for my parents. They have no legal entry. Okay, so you can't file for them if you're a green card. If you're a citizen, and if they didn't have a legal entry, that's going to be another problem. So sometimes there's cases of VAWA, like abuse or something like that you could do, or being victim of a crime or a witness to a crime. But you, even if I'm a citizen, because your parents didn't enter lawfully, you directly can't petition for them. You could petition for them, but eventually you can't do adjustment of status. You have to do constant processing, which creates problems. Anthony says, how long can someone answer that? So I applied for marriage-based green card. Can I expedite humanitarian? A reason, as my mother is sick. You could try. It's up to them if they want to prove it. Barbara, if your I-485 was approved on the same day as your 2nd-year anniversary, will you get a 10-year green card? If it's exactly on the, it has to be 2 years after the pass. I'm not sure what exactly the regulations are because it never had it exactly on the day. But yeah, that's something you have to look into exactly how the wording regulation is. But the rule essentially is if the green card is issued within 2 years. Now, does that include the day of or not? I don't know. That's something I have to, hire the office so I could look up this regulation for that or do it yourself. Love says, hi, can you talk about the I-130, please? My spouse in India. Well, Love, We have a full guide called the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, John's Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. Go to the website, marriageimmigrationlaw.com, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. You can download for free, and it'll break down the whole I-130 consular processing process for you. And then you can schedule consultation with the office to work on the rest. You see, we're getting a lot of timeline questions. I don't have answers for that. Levon says, I applied for adjustment in August. How I have to wait? I don't know. Any prediction on visa bulletin? Leanna says, no. Should you trust new USCIS personal processing times? No, you shouldn't trust any processing times. That's why I don't want to give any when people are asking me, because they're so unreliable. Where can I find out if there's an expiration date? Tev asks. There's an expiration that will be listed on the green card, but that's that. How long is the answer that? How long is the we get a lot of repeat questions. For immigrant visa for spouse, do they take your credit into consideration? Not right now, but they may for the next administration. Is it possible to get temporary asylum until marrying a U.S. citizen? It's not temporary asylum. You get asylum, and then you can file for a green card based on marriage. But if you have all the rules and you do things the right way. What's the fastest way for an F1 to H1B? You need to find an employer that's CAP exempt. Now it says embassy backlog in East Africa is still the same. Thanks. Probably, yeah, essentially the same. Sadie says, so humanitarian expedite to help expedite marriage-based card. You can always give it a shot. It's up to them. Tev says, I mean expiration for the visa process. I'm not sure, Tev, you got a green card issued. I'm not sure what you mean, expiration of the visa process. Probably have to schedule a consultation to get more into that. Valerie said, do you like working as an attorney? I'm looking to get into law. I do. I love it. I have courses where I teach lawyers how to become immigration lawyers. The problem that pops up, not a problem, but just is like being a lawyer is one thing, but running a business is another, especially if you run your business. And they're two completely different skills. They're kind of opposite at times. As a business owner, you got to be kind of entrepreneurial and liberal about certain things. But as an attorney, you have to be conservative and stuff. So these things counteract. But it's a great thing to do. It depends on your personality and what you like to do. Bog says, I want to apply for asylum. I was on F1 from India. Okay, our office doesn't do asylum, so we're not a good resource for that, but that's an option you can always do. Con says, can you talk about I-130? Just check out the guide. I'm not sure what there's to talk about. Heidi says, me and my husband went to marriage green card interview on the 3rd of November. Still case review. You're sorry to hear that. It's one of those things. What are the options for a national student to the U.S. if he hasn't funds to register for 12 credits? I don't know. Change the student tourist visa, if you have asylum claim or witness a crime claim or something like that, or be victim of a crime or something like that, if you have any of those options. Okay. Awaiting 10 years in INT, but I'm qualified for citizenship next month. Apply or just wait? You're waiting for my 10-year green card, probably you're saying. I don't know. I can't give guidance here, Ricky. Schedule a consultation so you review your case. If I-4 answers, so can a UK citizen, Aaron ask, on ESTA in the US, do they plan to return to the UK after wedding? Can a US citizen on ESTA in the US, I think you said get married. It's possible to get married in the US and then go back to UK. We have people who come and get married in the US. It's easier to get married in the US than overseas. But, Aaron, I need to know more information about how you got the ESTA, how long you know your spouse, the airport. There's more to talk about because you get hassled at the airport. So it's better to schedule a consultation to discuss that. Generally speaking, anyone can get married in the United States, but whether that's the appropriate thing to do in your case or not is something we got to talk about. Sukash says, does a U.S. citizen's 60-year-old mother count as a qualifying relative? It depends on what kind of case you're talking about. You're probably referring to a waiver. And for waivers, like a 601 waiver, you could use a qualifying parent for that as a relative. They're U.S. citizen, yeah. Oh, you said 601. Yeah, you could use the parent. Barbara says, if I-485, okay, I answered that. Can you move from pending asylum to EB2? Most of the time, no, but it's at the discretion of the officer reviewing the case. H Party said, has there any updates on the I-618 time? They seem to be somewhat getting faster, but not consistently. When will the U.S. Embassy Islamabad resume processing I-129Fs? It hasn't stopped. It's just slowed down, but it's starting to get faster. Poughkeepsie says, I have a business with affiliation with a U.S. company. Can the company sponsor me on a visa? It depends on what the affiliation is legally. and what kind of work you're doing. There might be an L1 option or an E2 option. So you'd have to go into the ownership of the company and then also what you do there. There are E visas, there are L visas. They're not easy to get. So we need to at least do the basics first, see what's going on, then take from there. What happens when USCIS asks for school transfer for I-485? You give them the record. How long is the hardship case? 1 to 3 years for the waiver. Mary Jane says, I am a U.S. citizen. Can I sponsor my half-sister's husband and 2 kids in the U.S.? Depends on when your parents got married and how old you were. But if it does qualify, depending on when the relationship, I don't know. I think sibling cases that are step siblings. I gotta look up the rules again because I haven't done those well. Step sibling. I-130. But I think you might have your parents have to have been married, your joint parents have to have been married before your age of 18 or something like that. If so, you could file, but it's going to take like 20 years. And maybe depending on the age of the kids, they may or may not be included in the application. If you send it, potentially your stepsister and spouse will be able to do it, but the kids, it depends on how old they are by the time the case starts moving forward later on. Okay, so I'm on USCIS.gov checking out the I-130. Let me see what the step sibling thing is, a brother or sister. Okay. Your petition is based on a step parent, not step parent, step sibling. Let's see, where is that? Sibling. Step parent, stepchild. Where's all the siblings? So I got to check it out. But to go to the, I have to read this, but I don't want to stop the show to read it. But if you check out the I-130 instructions, it talks about who could file for who. It's on the first couple pages. Jason says, if you take a lawyer to help their case, would they spread up the time? The way a lawyer can help speed up the time is when people do these cases on their own, they take forever to do them and collect it, and they make mistakes and errors that causes delays. So a lawyer will do it most likely cleaner and faster to organize and to answer certain questions. So what speeds it up is how less time you're spending on the case and getting it to the government. Then once it's to the government's hands, if the case is cleaner and stuff, it could help to be faster because the officer reviewing the case could be more efficient, but it's just not consistent. The government all over the place on timelines. We have a question that say to travel on advance parole if previous marriage case denied. I wouldn't travel on advance parole if you had a marriage case denied. Iam says, as a U.S. citizen and unemployed, can you file for your fiance? You can start the process, but eventually you're going to need a sponsor. Saba says, if someone has an F2A case and applies for a student, does it have any effect? As long as you're honest in the student visa application, it should be okay, but most likely you're going to deny it, but it's possible to file for it and see what happens. Where it says my case is stopped, there's no estimate time anymore. The timeline estimates that the government gives you are unreliable, and so don't even pay attention. It's a worthless thing, frankly. All right, we got a bunch of questions. BK Pump says, I spent 4 days a week at another apartment in another city because of my work. The rest of the days I'm back at home. It's a 3-hour drive. You consider living apart. You change your address. You need to explain to the government exactly what the situation is, why, and have evidence why that is. And just explain. That's what we usually do. Vika says, after K1 denial, what other options are left to get my true love? Probably get married and restart the process. Pierre Andrew on Red, good to see you. Says, friend got a DUI in the U.S. 2009, but clean since then. He got his police certificate from his country, and it came back no record of crime. Can he apply for citizenship now, or should he hire an attorney? You should definitely hire an attorney if you had a DUI. It's probably going to be okay, but you need that DUI records from 2009. Country records doesn't make difference because you got a U.S. conviction. Well, it depends on where the conviction. Oh, yeah, it's U.S. So the U.S. conviction record is a mandatory thing. They'll deny it, and we have to get the facts of the DUI. Did he hit somebody? Did he hit property, or was he just pulled over? All these facts come into play for discretion. You got to argue good stuff about the person and say, they've overcome this. They went to AA or that kind of stuff. You got to prep the case properly for the DUI cases, DUI NATS cases. Willen says, his dad's U.S. citizen. Could you take it less? Willen, we have to have a consultation. I can't say whether our office will accept it or not. You got to schedule a consultation with my associate. There's a fee for that, but have them email us and we'll take it from there. Puthia says, what are some tips for a B1, B2 visitor for non-business owner normal citizens? Just apply and be honest and pray. Parent Andrew says he pulled over, no injury. Okay, so that's better, but you got to just have the case go documented well when there's DUI involved. Let's see. Saba says, would you please repeat my answer again because of my internet? Saba says, could someone get a student visa if they have an I-130 pending? They give it a shot, but it's up to the embassy what they're going to do. Just be honest, and that's that. Okay. So let's go to a TikTok. If you filed for I-130 and was approved, my husband has illegal entry. What are options? Well, you have to consular processing, you have to leave, but you need to get a waiver before that approved. So you're not stuck outside the United States for 3 or 10 years. Plus, you got to just review other stuff of the case. So schedule a time with an attorney office. info@jqqlaw.com. info@jqqlaw.com. How long does it take for battered spouse? A couple of years, not too bad. Leanna says, any prediction for employment visas? No. If you're unemployed, can you fill for your fiance? You can start the process, but eventually you need a sponsor. We got a lot of repeat questions coming. Do I need to pay for immigration fee and I-131A before receiving my MBC interview? When you started the MBC process, you would have paid $445 to them. The I-131A is for something else. It's if someone lost their green card. So it has nothing to do with the kind of case you have. Quarantine says for immigrant visa for spouse, they take your credit into consideration. I already answered that. Not unless Trump comes and changes the rules. Okay, let's just fast forward. Got a lot of repeat questions, so I can't skim through all that. I'm just going to go to the newest one. Can I invest in the stock market? It's an F1 student. As long as it's not a job, investment's okay, work's not. My husband's case is with counsel in the U.S., and I want a refugee myself. How much time for interview? It's up to the government. Can I travel the I-521 across the U.S. border, but I parole before entry? I don't know if it's your documents. So you have advanced parole. You could try traveling. There's some small risk, but it's up to you if you take that risk. My husband's case, okay, answered that. I entered on a K1. That's a fiance visa. Got married, but it took me 6 months to find sponsor. Can I still do AOS? Yeah, as long as the marriage was within 90 days, you could file for adjustment of status once you have the paperwork together. On the other end, even if you didn't get married within 90 days, you got married after 90 days, you still file for a green card. You have to add some more paperwork, like an I-130 and an I-138. Hey, as Pop says, do you do joint motion to reopen? It depends on what the facts on the case are. If you email us, info@jqqlaw.com to briefly describe the situation. USCIS approved. How long did it take your MVC to respond? 1 week to 8 weeks. How long do you get a travel document? 8-9 months, maybe 2 years. Okay, we got a lot of timeline questions again, which I can't help with. Can people from the West Bank expect the I-130 case due to war? Cases saw USCIS. You give it a shot, but I'm not optimistic, but you give it a shot. Why not? What can I do after because I was denied? I don't know. I have to see what's going on in your case, why you're denied. Is a marriage case faster than a fiancé visa? How long does marriage case green card take? Well, it depends on you if you're a U.S. citizen or green card holder. The marriage case is faster to get you a green card if that's the primary goal. Fiancé visa is probably 50-50, might be like a 1 or 3 months faster to get you into the United States if you're overseas, but you still got to apply for the green card then. So it depends on what your goals are, which country you're from. There's a lot of different factors that have to be analyzed. When is the best time after marriage to apply for adjustment status? I mean, if you had your paperwork together, everything is good as soon as you get the marriage certificate. Military PIP is taking long. What can I do? I don't know, call them, request expedite, but it is what it is. I-130 stuck due to security checks since April 2023. It's probably not security checks. It's probably just typical I-130 wait time. How long is it going to take the interview? I don't know. Vince says, sir, how long does it take for K1 process, sir? It depends on the country you're from. And what do you mean by K1 process? Step 1, step 2, or step 3 in the United States? Depends on what part of the process you're talking about. Schedule a consultation with our office, info@jqqlaw.com. Download a guide, a marriage immigration guide. It covers fiancés too, at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That long the travel documents. Okay, we got a lot of repeat questions again. It's just like making it difficult to keep track. Too many repeat questions. Okay. T. Joe says, hello, I've not done my taxes yet. Can I use 2020 taxes for after the support? Yes. Gatti says, CR1 visa, I-551 issued, waiting for green card. You got to enter the United States and pay the green card fee. Does a misdemeanor class C prevent you from getting a green card? We'd have to analyze what the specific statute is. Saying misdemeanor class C is different meanings in different counties and states. So that information doesn't help, Veronica. We got to actually review the court record. What should I do about that? I don't know. Aya says, can I get a refund on my lost green card that I replaced? Now I'm about to file for citizenship. No, they don't refund money. How long does it take for approval I-824? 3 months to 18 months average. Any changes on a double entry? I'm not sure what that means. My parents come to the U.S. every 6 months for a week for the last 10 years. Green card, can they become a citizen? No, they haven't lived here long enough. They got to live here in the last 5 years, at least half that time, and consistently live in the U.S., having a week-long entry 6 months. That could eventually lead to losing the green card even. So they got to start living here. Let's look at Instagram, see if any questions from there. Roya says, how can I bring a baby born in Iran, mother's U.S. citizen? Well, you got to see if the child automatically gets citizenship. And for that, if they do, go to the embassy and get a consular record of birth abroad known as the CRBA, as well as getting a U.S. passport, and that's that. Now, if they didn't live in the U.S. long enough, then we got to look into filing a green card for them or doing an N600K, depending on whether the grandparents were living in the U.S. long enough. So it gets kind of complicated. But if you've been a U.S. citizen and living in the U.S. for 5 years before birth of the child, 2 of which are after the age of 14, you need evidence of that, but your child automatically gets citizenship. You got to go to the embassy and fix it up. Okay. Can you file the N400 with SM51 pending? Yes, you can. We do that all the time. That's a big important thing to do to usually speed up your case. Alice says, hi, what would cause clerk to reject a SIGIS case? We don't do SIGIS at our office. What is the average wait time when you apply for a green card through asylum route? They changed rules. There's no averages. Sir, K1 filer case, June 23 here. Thanks for joining the feed. I got a request for medical. Will I stop an interview? I don't know. It's up to them. Sir, I just applied for asylum. Can I travel inside the U.S. by air? Yes. What should I do? What should one do after they have to be denied for citizenship because they left the country for 6 months? I don't know. Just you got denied, refile when it's appropriate. But you should talk with an attorney next time to prep you for that issue ahead of time. You could have avoided the filing fee and the waste of time. Schedule a consultation, review your case. info@jklaw.com. Let's see. Hey, I don't know if you missed my question, but your video hangs. I don't know. Maybe I did. I'm answering a lot of questions here. We don't handle court cases, so I can't answer questions about that. USCIS asked my school transcript for interview. Okay. So Les says we submitted an appeal on I-130. How is that process? We don't typically ever do appeals on I-130. It's probably quicker to refile, but it depends on what the reason is for the denial. So Celeste, I would need to review your case. It could be 6 months, could be longer to get something on that appeal. But it's, I-130s typically aren't denied, and they're typically not appealed. They refile. So let's see what's going on. Kadri says, what about I-130 for siblings? What about them? You got to specify a better question. Can I sponsor my parents if they never had an application? I don't know what that means if they never had an application, but if you're a citizen and your parents have clean histories, yeah, you can sponsor them. What is the income requirement for U.S. citizen sponsor spouse? Check out Form I-864P. It's on the government website. Just go to Google and type in I-864P, and it has the income level required for your location and your family size. I didn't understand the question. Can they apply for citizenship? I don't know. I don't know their case. Our case is in 2 years. I haven't got my renewal of my green card. Website says pending. Yeah, those take forever. I-90s are taking forever in a lot of cases. I'm in the UK. Can I get a general labor sponsor job in the United States? You could technically, yes, it's going to take a while, EB3 category, but it's not impossible. And let's take 1 or 2 more questions. I applied for my parents' I-130 to live here in the U.S. already 10 months. How long should it take, Texas? It's different. I mean, if your parents are here and they enter lawfully, they should have filed for adjustment of status. So I-485 should have been filed. And those cases are relatively fast, but you didn't mention that. So I'm confused if you did the right thing or not. Manu says, what does it mean after sending RFE for I-485? It says pending due to immigrant visa not available. That means your case is backlogged. You have a preference category case. They can't approve it until the line moves forward. And let's see. Let's see if you have any questions on YouTube. Let's take 1 or 2 last ones here. Okay, we got a bunch of questions. Gatin says, paid fee and waiting for green card. Name change the court order. How can I update my name while green card is processing? Just send the letter, let them know. T. Jones says, even if I make well under the financial amount of sponsor spouse, as long as my co-sponsor amount should be fine. Typically, it should be, but embassies are inconsistent. But if you have joint sponsor, it's almost always okay. John says, my asylum application was denied when I was on F1 student visa. Now I have a green card holder based in AB3. I traveled to home country several times after that. It is what it is. John says, hi, John, please, do I have to withdraw my I-485 before filing for VAWA? I don't know your case. I can't recommend withdrawing anything. Got this says, where can I send the letter? Wherever look at the bottom left of your receipt notice. It has an address and you follow with that. All right, let's take one more question on TikTok and then we'll call it a day. Matthew, do answer that question. What is the difference between a U.S. citizen and a green card holder sponsoring a spouse? The difference is the timeline. So U.S. citizen spouse or immediate relatives, there's no extra line. So those are faster cases. Green card holder cases are preference category. Between 2019 and 2023, there was no difference, practically speaking. But now there's a backlog. If you're a green card holder filing for a spouse, it's going to take a couple of years extra unless the line moves up. But it's pretty backed up. It doesn't look like it's going to move faster. So the difference is a good amount of extra waiting time, unfortunately. Having said that, thank you so much for joining us on all these different platforms. We'll be back again next week, Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Take your questions live on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, But best thing to do if you want to talk is schedule a private consultation. Fees do apply, but email us and briefly describe your immigration issue, info@jqqlaw.com. That's info@jqqlaw.com. Briefly explain your situation so we know if it's the type of case we handle, and we'll respond with the information that you need to get things going. God bless, be safe, and I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.